Thanks for joining us this morning. The Army deployed on the streets of Melbourne. Once unthinkable, this morning it's reality as Victoria battles to prevent a second wave of coronavirus. To discuss, I'm joined by Northern Territory Senator Malarndirri Mccarthy and Triple M's Eddie McGuire. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Eddie.
Hello, Ellie. Triple M's, I like that one. Triple M's. And I hope I'm still Channel 9s as well, am I? Is there something you're telling me this morning?
Maybe we know something you don't know.
Have I missed something, have I?
But I mean, Eddie, what is happening in your state? You're letting the whole team down.
I don't know. I saw this morning on your show that there's been another... Is there a cluster at Lane Cove? Is something happening there? People got to be careful. Let's all calm the farm on this. This isn't about political grandstanding. Everyone was able to hold their line pretty well on this, and now everybody's starting to get a bit uppity. So let's all calm down. I think what the major problem has been is that where there were the returning people coming with COVID-19 from airplanes and internationals going into these hotels, they haven't had the security right, and that's why you've got the Army coming in now. And as a result of that, people have got it. And then we've also had, and I think as people have started to relax a little bit, people who actually tested positive to COVID-19 going to big family functions and going to work. Well, there's a recipe for disaster. It's pretty simple. If you've got it, it's contagious. You will give it to somebody. It doesn't matter if it's your brother, your sister, your auntie or anyone else. Don't do it. So a couple of people have transgressed, and as a result, we've had a spike. Simple as that.
Well, let's talk about the reason why people are a bit relaxed about it. Malarndirri, the Federal Health Minister, Greg Hunt, he's blaming the Black Lives Matter protests because, you know, we all saw tens of thousands of people marching through the streets and we thought, well, you know, if they're not social distancing, why should we?
Well, it's certainly unhelpful for Minister Hunt to make that statement, given that Victoria's own Chief Medical Officer has said that that's not the case, Ali. And I think we have to be clear, and as Eddie says, much of this has occurred in relation to those who are in hotels in Victoria, who are quarantining, and obviously family gatherings. So it really is a case of let's move on. Clearly, the Black Lives Rally, didn't have an impact, according to what the Chief Medical Officer is saying there. So let's be sensible and let's realise that there is a particular situation here and it's something that could happen right across the country, and this is the kind of lives that we have to live now in Australia at the moment.
Come on, I think you've got to say that the Black Lives Matter protest did play a role in this. Your thoughts, Eddie?
Yeah, well, I think, Ellie, you're right. I agree with both you and the Senator there, and that is, but what we have to get to is a position where we don't say, oh, how come you can play golf and I can't play golf, or you went to a demonstration, so therefore I'll go out and do things. Everyone just calm down. Stop politicising this situation. You know, we've got the ridiculous position in America at the moment. If you wear a mask, then you're supporting, you're anti-Trump and all this sort of stuff. Calm down, everyone. We're actually trying to beat a pandemic, and we don't need the politicians, who have actually been great so far, starting to deviate and get themselves up on the pulpit. So for the sake of everybody, let's just calm it all down again. Get the restrictions in place, work it through together, and stop pointing the finger at everybody and get to a sensible conclusion. And the media's got to play a big role in this as well, because everyone's trying to fire up the whole situation. I agree with you. I think a lot of people saw that demonstration and said, well, that's it, all bets are off, and away we go. But interestingly enough, directly from that demonstration, they can only, and there's a bit of a question mark on this as well, but we'll go with it, only 4 people so far. So if one thing, it might show that if everyone wears a mask and does the right thing, you might be able to actually get out in public.
But there has definitely been a turn.
Can I just finish on that, Ali, though?
Yep.
Can I just say that there's hundreds and thousands of Australians across the country who walk the streets passionately, and I think we do have to be enormously careful in the language that we use here. And as Eddie says, everyone has to just calm down and deal with situations when they flare up, and that's clearly what the Victorian government is doing right now.
I don't think anyone is doubting that it was an important cause there, Malarndirri. I want to talk to you both about something else this morning. I want to show you the front page of today's Courier Mail. This is a picture of the beautiful, smiling face of nurse Karen Gilliland, 42 years old and now dead, allegedly stabbed to death by her estranged husband at home in Rockhampton. This was all in front of her young daughters. I mean, you've got to ask, how are we back here again? Karen is the 27th woman to have died from suspected domestic violence this year. That's more than 1 a week. I mean, how do our girls get out of this? How do they erase that from their minds, Malarndirri?
Well, it's a real tragedy, and you know, obviously Sincere condolences to the families involved there in Rockhampton. But you're right, Ali, this is happening way too often, and we've clearly got to do something just as seriously as we're trying to deal with COVID-19. Domestic violence, especially violence against women, is not new. It's been happening well before what we're dealing now with in the pandemic. And, you know, we have to be able to move as a society to make sure that families and women in particular are safe.
I mean, I don't know, Eddie, how does this keep happening? Is there a solution?
Well, Ellie, this is a vexed problem, and this is something that I think we all have to stand up for now. I think this is a situation. We've all worked in newsrooms, and I remember one Christmas when I was working in a newsroom at Channel 10 back in the day, so it's a long time ago now, but the police radio was going berserk, and I ran to the Chief of Staff. I was only a cadet. Said, look, something's going on. He said, oh, don't worry, it's just a domestic. And that was the way it was always taken, and we know that has always been a situation. I don't know whether we need to go to something like even having on the Today Show, have a ticker on the bottom of the screen, counting the number of domestic violence deaths, so that every time we look at the TV or on the front page of the respective newspapers or somewhere, that we face up to this and say, this can't happen anymore, and what we have to do is address it. And that means we also have to put in place mitigating situations so that people who are finding themselves have to be taught how to react, not to lash out, not to get on the drugs or get on the grog and things like that. It's a broad-based thing, but you know what? We have to stand up at some stage and say, right, let's get stuck into this, and we can't have this anymore.
Absolutely. And if you are a victim of domestic violence, there is help out there too. You can call 1-800-RESPECT. That's 1-800-737-732. Now, just very, very quickly, Eddie, the Vultures, they're circling over footy's biggest prize, the AFL Grand Final. Adelaide, Sydney and Perth, they all want it. I mean, Perth for a grand final. At least you'll have a crowd.
I think it's fantastic, except that none of the crowd will be able to get up to the go because you won't let Victorians in anywhere, so that's going to be a bit hard.
We don't need you.
The good news is... Okay, well, that's even better though, Ali. This is what we want. The bidding starts at 30 million, OK? Do I have a bid? We've got 3 up for grabs now, and you can bid it up as high as you like. What they'll have to do, though, is there is a standing contract in play until 2058. The game will be played at the MCG. But if we can't get anyone at the MCG, bid up, bid up, bid up, and it's great. Have you still got that ground at Sydney? I can't keep up with what you're doing with the stadiums.
I'd just like to remind you that AFL is a national sport. You don't own it.
That's right. What about the Northern Territory, Alice?
Hey,
Come on.
Exactly.
Come on, Eddie.
Good.
Bring it up here. Lock it in, mate. You know, we want to be millionaires as well. Come on.
I want to come. We want to come to the Northern Territory, and we don't. You're right. We don't own it, but I tell you what. Tomorrow night, Collingwood will be owning GWS. Go the Pies.
Bring Richmond and Essendon up. Come on.
All right. Good to chat to you guys. Thanks for joining us. That's great.
See you guys.